I went from like 200 followers to 3,000 just off of me deciding to try something new and highlight local businesses. It ended up opening doors because it was something I like to do. I was able to open doors for other people by creating visibility and then also say, hey, this is what I was able to do for you online. Now, this is what my company can help you with on the back end. So it was like a lead generator for me. But I will say what I found was when you're online, that is the opportunity to show up as yourself because we're not just pushing the product and saying, oh, this is the service, this is the product. We're able to show them who the brains behind the product is. And a lot of times people buy in to other folks. And it could be something as simple as people liking your voice or the way you explain stuff or the way you story tell, and now they're following you. And now every time you put something out, they're looking into it. They want to learn more. They want to sign up. They want to purchase. But it really just comes off of you showing up online and just being your authentic self. And I think millennials and up, because social media kind of popped up on us. We're not young where we're just born into social media. Social media is something that happened. So a lot of times millennials and up, we didn't necessarily look at it as a career pathway, or we didn't look at it for business. We're just like, that's social media. When we show up for business, we have to look corporate. We have to talk a certain way. But this new generation has showed us that showing up as yourself, you can still be a professional. You can still be looked at as a business owner, but now people know a little bit more about your personality. And personality sells because in a generation where it might be 8,000 other folks building websites. Pam builds websites, I build websites as well, but there's going to be people who say, I like the way Pam explained it to me, I like the way she walked me through it, I'm gonna go with Pam. Whereas it might be somebody, I want Tiara to help me with XYZ because I like the way she explains that. But either way, it gives us the opportunity to really attract our target audience and people who want to work with us for us, instead of us showing up in this corporate space and being who we think people want us to be to work with us. No, these people buying into who you really are. So now we got their support with buying the products and the services, but they also trust us because they know more about our personality and our story.
Bridget, you muted.
And I was muted. I was like, I was about to say, I was saying that I really love, love, love that because it goes segue right into what I wanted to ask you, Devonte, because it talks about that story. How do you help entrepreneurs bring clarity to that story behind their business? I love that because now, we can show up being our authentic self, right? So, what
Hmm.
about that? How do you do that?
So I think a lot of times people get to the point where, especially in business, that they are trying to add so much to say, hey, I do this, I do that, I do that, but they're not focusing on how they got to that point. So instead of adding on to all the extra stuff that they are doing in their business and trying to put everything in one big package, we help them to distill it down, to start speaking on why they started, who they're actually trying to help, the problems that they solve, and how they bring their unique spin to them. And then that leads again to what Tierra was saying, how you present that as well. Because I'm 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 not sure who knows me outside of this, but I'm relatively laid back. So when I speak on camera, I try to be relatively laid back, chill kind of person, and that comes across. And the people who are attracted to that are going to be the ones that I want to deal with. I don't want to deal with people who aren't made for me, and that's kind of what we help with those people. With our clients, we want them to find people that are looking for their type of work, their style of doing the same thing. Because, like I said, there's millions of videographers, there's millions of cinematographers, there's millions of filmmakers, but not every one of them is going to be me. Not every one of them is going to be how Tierra works as far as marketing and her media house. Not everybody's going to do the same thing as Mighty Creative and Miss Pamela. So being able to not only distill down your story and make it unique to you and showing how you got to that point, but also being able to inject your style into what you do. Um, that's mainly what we help people do. I've like even previously I had a client that I work with. he has a nonprofit and a church that he's starting. And he called me yesterday. If we just did, it was like two simple promos, less than a minute each. I think they were like a minute and 15 each. And he's like, man, you just put our stuff, you put our style into this. Every time I do work with you, I know it's going to come out right. I don't have to coach you through it. You understand who we are. And that's the part of everything, being able to understand who you're working with and making their images and their content fit them so it can attract the people they're looking for. So that's what we do.
I love it. Love it. Love it. And that brings me, of course, like you said, now over to the system of it, because it's not just about having the story, it's about an actual system and how that actually works together. So, Miss Pamela, Dr. Pamela, why are systems and automation important for entrepreneurs who are growing their visibility?
Yeah, so systems are important for visibility because visibility brings volume, right? But volume can break when your systems are weak. So we heard the clarity that Devontae shared, and we heard the understanding that Sierra has learned over the time that she's working. And as you begin to have that visibility and that clarity, more people are going to start to respond to you, right? So when I say it brings volume, that's what I'm talking about. And when that volume comes, are you ready? Or is the system that you have in place going to break? So we view systems as digital infrastructure, right? So just like a city needs roads and bridges to handle traffic, that's the infrastructure, right? Your business needs a business operating system to handle those clients, your traffic. And without that system in place, you can hit maybe like a complexity ceiling where you get stuck doing a lot of manual admin work instead of what you're there to do, which is the growing, the scaling part. So automation, putting automation in place is about stabilizing that foundation, that infrastructure, so you can scale your what humanity without burnout, because you are the one with the business. You're the entrepreneur. You have this vision that you need to carry out, but we don't want to get stuck in a system that pulls you away from doing what you do best. So our goal is to put an infrastructure in place to help the humanity part of you get stabilized with the system as your foundation so you can keep doing what you do best instead of burning out on technology.
I know that's right. Ain't
Mm-hmm.
nobody trying to burn out over here. So I love that piece of it. So, so let's see. Let's talk about now connecting the pieces, connecting the story to the content, to the system, right? When I'm looking at this connection, how does a clear story influence the type of content, an entrepreneur might create? And I'm gonna throw that to Devante.
Well, for sure, it helps making content easier. It stops being a random thing. Hey, I don't know what I'm gonna do this week. If you understand your story, you understand you stop asking what you should post. And you start asking what part of the story am I going to tell today. Uh, as far as content pillars, we help with people with understanding their tone of voice. It helps set that, having that clarity. It filters what you don't need to post as well. So sometimes if we get into a mindset of I gotta post what's trendy, as far as content creation, that's a part of content creation because you're a content creator, you're getting paid off your content. But when you're a business and you have a business, your content is to push people towards your service or your product. So you think about it slightly differently. You still may have some aspects of content creation, but you have to also think about it slightly differently. Say how you build what your systems are as pillars, and also changes what you post as far as content, as far as your education stuff, things to build trust, things to reinforce the mission of what you're doing. So instead of building a whole bunch of constant things that are not may not fit what you're trying to do, you want to post things that build credibility or build authority or build proof, showing client wins or showing lessons that you've learned through what you're doing, or showing the behind the scenes of what you do to get people more invested in what you're doing. The kind of content we help people create is for building loyalty in the customers that you're getting, and making them come back consistently, and then making them share what you do with other people because they're invested in it. A lot of times, everything we see nowadays looks like an ad. And if I go on Facebook, I'm scrolling, I can scroll for 10 minutes straight, and everything I see is an ad. And that's good for businesses that are trying to like invest in their money things. But if you want people to genuinely, authentically invest in you, you want them to enjoy watching your content and not feel like it's an ad. They want it to be organic content. So that's what we try to help people do. Understand that clarity of their story. That way they can build into building trust and building loyalty from the people that are watching it.
Oh, wow. I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Um, well, Tierra, because you're in that content creation space. So what does that do? I mean, how does this help entrepreneurs stay consistent, which I heard part of what Devontae said, once they begin showing up online?
Well, I will say, the biggest thing that has helped me was the accountability, knowing that people are waiting. And I really never knew that people were waiting until I think I took a couple of days off. I didn't post for a couple of days. And I had somebody inbox me and she said, "Are you going somewhere this week?" And I'm just like, "Oh, okie dokie." People are really waiting, and what our content does, and I don't think we think about it a lot of times, but when people are watching our content, we might be critics as far as like our voice. I've met with a girl earlier and she was like, "I don't like the way my voice sounds." I don't like the way my voice sounds because I know what my voice sounded like when I was 21, and I know now it's kind of raspy, it's deep. I'm real country. I tear a word up in a heartbeat, but people like it. People are like, "Oh my God." I ran into somebody at the store. He was like, I love your voice. Keep making them videos. I love your voice." But it could be something as simple as people like the way you storytell, and people listen. They're listening because they like your voice. But when you're feeding people good content, you're teaching them something, you're educating them on something they didn't know about. My stuff come off as fun. I mean, it is fun. I'm really just going somewhere. I'm taking people with me, because originally it wasn't, any kind of business model. It wasn't people paying me to come out. Originally it was just when I was going somewhere and I'm like, people don't know about this spot. Let me tell them. And it's just me showing up as myself. "Look, y'all, I like to eat here. They got this $11 buffet. Y'all been to this $11 buffet?" And now it helped the businesses to the point where they're like, "Oh, let me reach out and see how I can engage with her." But that, to me, that helped because my business is business development and marketing, but I don't want to be salesy. If you go to my social media, maybe on Agence Professional Solutions, I'll post some graphics about flyers and stuff. But my other social medias, it's just videos of me doing what I like to do. And then people are reaching out because it's helping other businesses. I have businesses now, like I try to pay, I go in there with money, but they're like, "No, you helped our business so much, you got to find out food here." And I'm like, "I'm in the influencer, okie dokie." But I will say the biggest piece is again that accountability. When you know that what you're putting out is helping people and it's also helping you, it makes you want to continue putting that material out because now you got people who are looking for it. When I get those comments and they say, "Oh, I'm new to North Carolina. Thank you for this." I had a lady who was like, "I hated being here. I thought it wasn't nothing doing Rocky Mount until I found your page." I took Elijah to get a haircut. This lady from Chicago was like, "Oh, I found you, the girl off TikTok. I thought that was your voice. I found this barbershop." And I'm like, "Ooh," because that means even if they didn't press like, 'cause that barbershop video was probably the least, it got the least amount of likes. If one business got 44,000 likes and that business got about 60 likes on that video. And I'm like, dang, I thought it was going to do better. But he got more than 60 new customers already. So even though people are lazy and they not going to always press the like, it might be because they lazy, it might be because they don't want you to get paid from that video, whatever. People got the reasons why they don't press the likes. But I tell folks, we not doing content based on how many likes. We looking at that engagement, that
Mm-hmm.
reach, because if we got people sharing it and favoring it and they sending it to their friends, you ain't pressed like, but baby, you watched it for
Mm-hmm.
10 seconds and that added up, and those views. So you might have a video that Yeah, you got 50 likes on it, but you look at the views and you got 7,000 views. So you might not have gotten 7,000 people to like it, but there's 7,000 people who are now aware of your brand, aware of you, aware of your content. They might circle back around and they also done put you in their algorithm, because what people don't realize is you ain't gotta like me now. You watched it. TikTok and Facebook gonna show you some more of me because you watched that video. And
Mhm.
eventually they're gonna like and follow because they're like, dang, she keep popping up. So I tell people, don't be discouraged by the likes, because the likes are not always going to reflect really what the impact you're making with your content.
I love that. I love that because so many people, I had a friend of mine, she was so discouraged. She was like, well, nobody liked it. I was like, people, I was like, and so she was taking it personal that people wasn't liking her stuff. I was like, they ain't thinking about you. I was like, they thinking about, usually it's because they doing their other stuff. They just don't take the time and they don't think about how it affects the algorithms. You're conscious of it, but they really don't know. And so, yeah,
And I just
she,
throw it in there. I know my grandma love me, and my grandma watch everything I post, but she ain't never liked nothing. She ain't never reacted. I'm like, grandma, press the
like,
button.
dang,
She's like,
grandma,
I
you
don't never press the button. And I'm like, okay, it's a lot of people who just don't never press the button, but they see it,
right.
they watch it. They might watch the whole
The
video
whole
and still not
video,
give you that
right.
like.
So that's super cool. Thanks for sharing that. And that's important for people to know. Pam, so even with that, bringing this content together with Tierra and Devontae said, how can simple systems support this story and content work that they just described?
Look, when we look at how systems support what they just described through the lens of these two individuals, we hear some commonalities, right? That I live for. So they both talked about trust and accountability, right? Devontae talked about credibility and loyalty, and Tiara spoke about the audience waiting for you. So the reality behind this is Tiara and Devontae provide that the fuel, and then my role is to come behind that fuel and build the engine that turns the fuel into a sustainable movement, right? So what I mean by that is we have this framework that we put in place called the ABCC. I like to call it the ABCs, and you're gonna hear it right here. It's how we attract, how we build, how we connect, how we convert, and then that conversion turns into what? More content. And that content takes you back through the cycle again. So now all of that becomes a part of your system. And your system should capture the attention that these two are generating. So when you have a system to catch that kind of attention, you attract your customers into a place that's built to capture organized data, such as them exchanging willingly their email or phone number or whatever because they liked or did not like, but went to your establishment, right? And now they want to know more about what you have to offer. Then you get to build off of that attraction and begin to nurture that relationship automatically through what we do with those systems we talked about earlier, right? Those automations to have that connection to help you build the relationship. And so without that system, the beautiful stories we just heard is just noise, right? But with the system, it becomes a relationship. The era just described, both of them described beautiful examples of relationships that were established. The Tiara didn't find out about one of hers until one said, I like the sound of your voice. She was establishing a relationship through the content that she delivered. And now someone on the other side gets the benefit from it. So let me keep going so I can bring it all together. I feel like I'm in church, y'all. Right? So we have the stories that are being told that's going to attract. You get a chance to build on that data to leverage the relationship so that you can have something in place that keeps the connection going. And then you turn those relationships into committed customers. And I call that the conversion. Why? Because they turn into revenue. Then those relationships become activated when you engage with them with more content. And then the cycle, what the engine starts moving again. And here's my favorite part about all of this. It's simply the system that turns a stranger into a customer and a customer into your advocate because you're giving them a chance to amplify the customer voice. And so the goal is to take your system and run it to the place that your customer is now speaking for you about you as an advocate for you to bring in more customers and taking them back through again. So we heard it all before you even got to me. And that's how this thing works. So we can be on the same platform, sound like we do the same thing, but we understanding how we support one another in what we're doing to help you be the best at what you do. And that's capturing the story that they're going to help you deliver. And then you convert that story into revenue. And then we start all over again.
I love that. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Especially, I know with the different parts of social media, and like you said, I know you got this contract with TikTok now, and I know, I mean, as far as I've even noticed, the engagement on TikTok, I don't know, it's something else about over there now. I do have to say, I can't spend too much time over there because it can be time consuming. But, Tiara, what content strategies or formats do you believe will be most important for our businesses coming up in 2026?
Okay. And I'm gonna answer the question, but I do want to start by saying what I think is definitely gonna be least important. And I see people do this all the time because they just want a presence. But people will do mashups to death. They'll go and add a whole bunch of videos and pictures and then let TikTok auto cut it and let TikTok add a little sound. And then, or they might choose their own sound with somebody giving a motivational speech or something else. And then they post it and they say, I posted on TikTok. And then I go to their page and I'm like, but what did you post? Because unless you already have a large following and these people just want to see you, nobody is engaged in your mashup or your, super recap with no voiceover. And so to answer the question, voiceover, because it's the easiest way for people to get started, especially when they shy, not ready to be on camera. I would say because I started in corporate, I think I was like 22. And so when I'm, working in the government, and then I was working for the state and working for the college and all that stuff, I was young. And so I always felt like I had to talk a certain way. I had my phone voice. And so I always talked in my phone voice. And I didn't get my nails different color. I didn't wear my braids. I didn't wear my big ear, whatever, because I wanted to fit into that box of respected and, oh, that's a professional. And so when I started doing content, it was like, oh, am I ready to show up? And so my first thing was, instead of me starting with the camera in front of me and talking and me trying to figure out what it looks like, I said let me start with voiceover because it's simple. I'm able to talk people through it, but I'm giving them a visual so they got something to look at, but they have a human. Is the AI voiceover not the same, y'all? It's not the same. um, they want to hear that you're a human. They don't want it to sound scripted. And so even though, people have, some companies will reach out to me and say, hey, can we pay you for a video? And y'all know it's holiday season. Yes, you can pay me for a video. But what I realized was going into the new year, things going to look a little different because it's not my brand to be paid to come there. Because when I'm paid to come there, I'm sounding more scripted versus when I'm doing my organic content and I'm just talking to my friends. Because now I'm trying to talk to folks and make these folks customers of these people, and I'm trying to sell them something. And I always want to make sure I don't sound salesy. But voiceover is the easiest way to get started, especially if you're shy. You like, I don't want to be on camera. There are people who are very successful with faceless content, if that's your thing. But we just need to make sure you know your brand, you know your story, you know your target audience, and then choosing the format is a little easier. But once you know those things and you're not trying to please everybody or get people to think you somebody you're not, because we know, everybody on this call know, social media and just the internet in general is the first space that people have where you can do one or two things. You can show up exactly how you are and be your true, authentic self, or you can show up however you want people to think you are. You can be whoever you want, and we can't even say one is good, one is bad, because at the end of the day, the internet and social media allows us to control the narrative of what people think about us. It's not saying, they read those articles and they seen all the plaques on the wall, so they assume this professional talk this way, or she not fun, she got all them degrees on the wall, I don't want to talk to her, she gonna be talking over my head. No, we're able to show them who we are, who they're dealing with, exactly what they're getting. And for people who show up as who they want to be, there's one of those fake it till you make it, because it works for a lot of folks. They might not be the best accountant in the world, but they show up on the internet and they giving all the tax tips they know. Now they're coining themselves as a professional and an expert, whereas the person who is scared to start making the content that might actually know more than them, they're losing out on people who want to spend some money or want to learn, because these people who want to pretend until they make it, they're one showing up. And so folks, when they think of tax folks, they're gonna think of Duke. Duke probably really good, but Duke, he started his content just giving people tax advice and little tips because he did bookkeeping and tax, and then he got sponsored by the IRS, like it opens doors and it pays to really decide before you start your content, who do I want to be online? What is my goal for showing up online? You can be whoever you want to be, but it is a place where who yourself is enough. You don't have to try to be enough for anybody online, because you might not be enough for one group, but it's a whole nother group that you are more than enough for.
Amen to that. I love that. I love that. And because I don't know how many times, I think even for myself, I was always, kind of afraid. I don't, sometimes I don't like to put my face on. I don't know why. I just don't like, looking at myself on social media. So I wouldn't do it. So, but I love the idea of taking a picture and let somebody else talk, or talking over it or something. I actually did create me an avatar, that I'm going to introduce in the new year.
Uh, and I'm sorry, I just want to say one thing, and then I do have to jump. I
Oh, I
switched
know
to
you
my
have to jump. Yeah.
phone. Yeah, I switched to my phone, but I just want to say, that's that's stuff that we deal with internally. We're our biggest critics, but again, there is somebody on this internet for everybody. One of the highest, I'm gonna throw this out there, y'all, and y'all let it sit with you now. The highest paid live streamer, he goes live 7 hours a day, and he just sets up his camera when he go to sleep. And so the way he makes his money is these people commenting and trying to wake him up and all that. This man bringing in about $50,000 a month, but he got an audience of folks that's willing to watch him sleep. I was scrolling because if I'm gonna have an agency and I help people get paid to go live, I need to see the type of content people consuming. So I'm looking online. You had this man. I mean, Bridget, you pretty. This man, he didn't lie. He won't pretty now. And then on top of that, he had a whole bunch of chins, but he had them chins in the camera and he was asleep and he was snoring. And I looked and he had over 200 viewers. And that's 200 folks watching this man sleep with his face in the screen like that. You got people who read the Bible on live. You got people
Yeah.
who play the guitar. You got some people that clean up. Do you know this girl's getting paid a lot of money on YouTube? They set their camera up while they clean up. And you know how many people rewatch videos of them cleaning their bathroom and they're getting paid? So it's like, no, they don't have a product or a service they're pushing, but for the business owners, that's good for us because we do. And then we have a platform. But also, we had to think about in business, we're not settling for just one stream of income anyway. So now you have a platform where you can create, leads and tell people about yourself and your business and make some money. But you can also get paid from those platforms by using those platforms to stream. So I know, you don't want to be on camera, but honey, it'll be people that love watching Bridget. They'll rewatch all your videos. Okay, all right, I'm gonna let you go.
And I know you gotta switch over, so that's fine. We'll be, but that's just my little thing. But
We're
Devontae,
gonna get you past it.
I know, right? Devontae, for you, what is one shift that you see these entrepreneurs they should make in the way that they talk about their businesses in the next year, and also, looking at doing marketing. So, what is one shift that you think we should make?
Uh, just to real quick, just to speak to her point, I was the same way when I first started. I had to force myself to make videos. I was on TikTok. I had like 3 subscribers. I got to like 4,000, I believe, before I shut the whole thing down. All I did was make a quote of the day. I did a quote every day, and those quotes got me to be able to get out my shell. And all I was doing was reading something else that somebody else said, and then saying what I felt about it. But that's something that people can definitely need to do, be able to be authentically themselves on camera. But the core idea I would say people need to actually switch into is not so much talking about what you do as far as why, and then switching to why it matters. A lot of times people like to lead with the mechanics of what they do versus the meaning of what it is. They want to talk about the services, they want to talk about the features and the process, which is great, but lead with the problem that you're helping people solve and escape, or the outcome that you want people to be able to reach. Because if no one understands why they're working with you, they don't see that the actual outcome that's going to actually be able to happen from it. If I say, hey, I can help you tell your story, like, why do I need to tell my story? You're not going to care. So I want to be able to teach you why you should care about being able to not only put your best foot forward visually, but what that can entail you in the every other aspect of what you do, whether that's as a business owner or a content creator like Miss Tierra, or as people who have different avenues. Artists, I work with artists all the time, and they be like, I didn't realize I needed this visual outlet. I just thought my music was good enough. And it's like, your music is good enough, it's just people don't have anything to attach to the music, so they don't pay attention to it. A lot of times people put music on in the background, they're not even paying attention to what they're listening to, and you lose actual fans and followers because it was in a playlist somewhere. And then you could have somebody coming back to view your full catalog just because they have a connection to you visually. They can connect your music to a visual thing that they seen. Now that's building your fan base and your core things that way too. But even outside of that, being able to make that shift from being informational to relatable, or being transactional to transformational, it makes it so you're not just making content, you're making meaning. And meaning is what pushes everything that we build, as far as our businesses, our movements that we're trying to cause and create in the world. And it helps actually build better communities around everything we're trying to pursue. So
I love that. When it comes to, telling a story, a lot of times, and I'm switching over to grant writing just real quick, because a lot of times people put together a grant, and you've got all of these facts and everything looks good, but those grants that are really winning are the ones that they're telling a story where somebody can now visualize, they can see, right, what is actually the picture of it. So becoming a real good storyteller, and presenting your whether it's your data, whether it's your life, your why, whatever, all of that, but being able to become a great storyteller. And I didn't really realize how important it was until I started seeing how the effect of it, not just in my client's life, but in our revenue that we were producing via our grants and different things like that. So, yeah. Miss Pamela, what technology or automation shift should entrepreneurs consider going into 2026? What's your thoughts?
Okay, I'm going to answer your question and then I'll come back around and comment on a couple of the things we just heard so I don't lose the answer to the question.
Okay.
Okay, So first of all, I am going to say I love that statement that we just heard from Devontae when he said um, that when he said making meaning, not just content. Like you have to make meaning out of what you presented. And I just love that. I don't know if I said it the way he said it, but anyway, that is definitely key for 2026. So as we shift, for 2026, I want to encourage people to move away from like old style stacks. Some may call it Frankenstein stacks, which is when you have like 10 different apps that just don't even talk to each other, right? Going into 2026, you need to find your single source of truth. So what do we do here at Mighty Creative? We live by a motto. We got to be a product of the product. Be a product of the product. That's what we do. So we use the same operating system to run our business that we will install for you. So if the tech isn't good enough for us, we don't even want to sell it to you. So we want you. We're looking for tools that unify our data, and I want to encourage you to make sure you're looking for tools that unify yours because you don't want information that's just scattered everywhere. Because when it's time to tell that story, when it's time to get in front of someone who knows how to take what you have and make that a part of that connection that he was talking about, the story being connected to the authentic you. I love what he said about the music. I'm a musician, so I totally get that whole part, right? The visual connection to the sound. I always see what I hear. That's just how I'm built. That's probably why I'm a musician because I can hear it. I can hear it without even seeing the notes and I can play it. I always see what I hear and I always have an image in my mind that's connected to that thing. And then I remember. And so people are going to remember that story. It is going to be connected to what you do. And that's content. And one of the things we've heard today from everyone that has spoke is the same word, but in different variations of it. Content presents itself in so many ways. And some people are audio, some people are visual, some people they might not touch the like button or ever swipe, but they're gonna remember what they saw, what they heard, and they might even smell the food they saw in the video just because it looked good. But content is king, and you have to have the content. My lad, I'm gonna come back around to making this comment here about getting on camera. Um, I've been in ministry online since 2010 when nobody was thinking about it. I built my own platform so I can go online because I wanted to go to school at Full Sail in Florida. But at the time, you had to be full time in person on campus. They didn't have an online campus. And I didn't want to leave my family or my church. So I built the platform so I could take it with me. And that's how I started this whole thing. And I had to go on camera and do things online. And I say a lot, right? Before any degrees and any of that kind of stuff. But what changed my mind was the response I got from someone who says, "You said this one line that changed my life." And that's what made it different for me. So what I started doing was going on camera, but I would look at myself while I was doing it so I can get what I had to say out. And so it's important, even when we're in business, it's important to make those connections, establish those relationships, and then having something that keeps you making those connections and establishing that relationship. And so don't get tripped up on content because of the way we think about it. Be more encouraged about what your content is going to do for someone else on the other side because they're engaging with you. And that is going to be a beautiful story to tell.
I love it. Love it. Love it. A beautiful story to tell. What's on the other side of that? Well, guys, on the other side of this is more content, more, let's say, availability so that we can help you to scale and grow your businesses. First of all, before, is there any questions? Does anybody have any specific questions that they want to ask? Shamara, I saw your question about Ajon's Media House on TikTok. I will make sure that everybody gets the link to that. I'll email it out to everyone so that you can connect to that. It is definitely an opportunity to start streaming and being able to earn some cash. It is a different beast, but it is an opportunity to connect that with your fund, your revenue stream. Everybody needs additional revenue streams, and if you utilize it properly, you can make some good money on it. So I know quite a few people that are using it, making a couple extra $100 a week. So yeah, make sure that you will be getting connected to that. wanted to talk about on next week. We have Tiara and Devante and Mighty Creative will be here in person here at Station Square at 6 p.m. So we encourage you all to show up where they will be talking about, Tiara will actually be talking a lot about what's going to be in that. I know it's a hands on content creation. Um, They'll be doing some real videos, some graphics created during the session. And she's also going to be talking about some monetization strategies. And then also creating a visibility plan for 30 days. And yeah. So, and then the next thing that I wanted to talk about is our 4 week program that's going to start January 14th. So, and it's going to be specifically tied to your story, creating your story, your funnel, and also putting together this visibility engine. We're also, for those who are participating in it, they will have an opportunity to create their video, have this spotlight, and we're also going to be doing a pitch contest with it. I hadn't told anybody that. And so we're going to have a monetary prize at the end of it. So for those that register, go ahead and get registered to that. I don't know. Let me see. Can somebody put the link in the as a question, maybe? I don't know. Maybe we could put it in the question and answers since we don't have a chat in this. Yeah. Let me ask a backup question too to Devante. What transformation do you see when someone gains clarity in their story?
So for me, I've noticed for the most part, it's always been an increase in engagement for the main thing. I have an artist that I work with, Seven Me. He went from having a plateau on his streams, and it was like he was like, oh, I don't know what I need to do. I don't know how I need to get connected with people. And we started creating music videos, but it wasn't based around just music. It was based around creating a story around his music. So it made everything he does, it changed the way he thought about how he did music. It changed the way people engage with him. He started seeing an increase in his streams and his listens on Spotify, and then that also helped him with realizing, okay, well, I can. It changed how he thought. It changed. It's a mindset change. I think when you have a clarity, it's changing the clarity of your story. It changes how you think about what you should be doing. Even for me, when I first started doing uh, things as far as content creation before we made this change over to 91 Stones, when I realized, I sat down and was clear about my story, I started realizing there are things that I can do that may not be directly related to bringing in clients, but it's authentic to me. It's authentic to who we are as a brand, and it made it easier to make content. So it changed how you it changes how you think about what you're doing, and it changes how people engage with you. That's the main thing I noticed, though, is engagement, because now you're getting people who are actually interested in not only your business but you, because you're not buying. People aren't buying a business; they're buying beliefs and directions, and those beliefs have to come from somewhere. So they come from you, the owner of that business, and that's where we feel like that's the best thing. It gives you engagement because they start engaging with you from that aspect. So
I love that, love that, love that. And one more too for you, Miss Pamela. What improvements do entrepreneurs experience when their systems are in place? Do I know? Let me tell you. I could tell y'all. I will. Let me share a quick story. Can I share a quick story? Because see, I used to try to do all of this myself. And as your business starts to grow, as you start to expand, um, different revenue streams, and you're getting pulled into these different directions. You can only do a couple things at the same time unless you're growing your team. And I'm so thankful that I was able to grow my team with Mighty Creative. Mighty Creative has been putting into place this streamline, allowing me not to even have to really think about what needs to be posted. They have me, basically, they've put some automations in place. And basically, we just do some checks and balances here and there, and it just really runs like clockwork. I don't have to worry about posting to LinkedIn, to Facebook, to Instagram, to TikTok. All of those things are working together. And then when I want to jump in and do my own thing, because guess what? I can jump in and do that too. So being able to have access to this platform that is on automatic for me. Whether it's fielding leads, I get to, it captures my leads. It becomes everything that I can't do sometimes. And so I'm excited about that. But yeah, Miss Pamela, what improvements do you think entrepreneurs experience when there is systems in place? I'm just going to speak to for myself. It's a sense of peace where I don't have to worry about that. And so there's some peace that I've gotten just from having some of those things in place. But you tell me, what's your answer?
Uh, First of all, I love your answer because what you just did is demonstrate what we've all been talking about tonight, right? Because the experience that you had is now telling a story, and it's going to tell a story better than I can. Um, but when we're talking about improvements, what those improvements are that um, once these things are in place, the improvement is this: those things being in place move you from being the person that has to be the technician, right? And you get exhausted we talked about this early, by doing this extra work that's preventing you from being the entrepreneur that you are, right? So when you step back into the role of being that authentic you that we've heard tonight, the entrepreneur that you are, that business owner that you are, you're also putting yourself back in a position to be the one who owns what? A scalable asset. And that's what we all need. Scalable assets, right? So I knew I was going to say that. So let me go talk to my Johnny, right? To just talk about exactly what a scalable asset is for a moment. So in this situation, a scalable asset is a product, a system, or maybe even your own intellectual property that allows you to increase revenue without that correspondence that takes up your time, but increases you and not your costs, right? So it creates value that exists independently of your personal time and still increases your revenue. That's scalable asset. So when you have a system in place, you put yourself in a position to allow your business to become a scalable asset. We heard a lot of that in the example that Tiara shared. And those things, that content became a scalable asset for those people bringing in additional sources of revenue because it was doing something. The man was asleep and he's getting paid. Come on, that's what we're talking about. Wow, she said it gave her a peace of mind. So when you have these things in place, um, what we want to do is put something to help give you a true operating system that gives you that kind of freedom, that kind of peace, so you can focus on the vision that God gave you, right? Because a factory or a system has been put in place and it's just simply running smooth in the background or on camera in your face while you sleep.
I
And
love it.
so um, that's the whole point of well, anyway, the story. She started with the story.
So can I say
uh,
something real quick?
yeah.
So I just want to speak to what Miss Pam does. For I always said that when I first got started connected with Miss Bridget, I said Miss Bridget helps build the structure. That's like helping you build the boat. And what Miss Pamela has is the fishing hook. I mean, it's the hook, right? It's the thing that goes out there, it gets the people in the boat, and it keeps them in the boat, keeps them in your system that Miss Bridget has built. All story is the bait. It's the thing that gets them attracted to the hook, and says, "Ooh, what is this that they have going on?" Now, when they get on that hook, you sync that hook with the systems that Miss Pamela has built in place and the structure that Miss Bridget has given you, and now you're building the flywheel that we have went over in classes and things like that. No sure where they're consistently putting them in there, and they're going to start those fish that you're bringing in are going to breed themselves, and they're going to increase your revenue and bring your scale. And that's I think that's the whole system in itself that people aren't paying attention to. You have to have every aspect. If you got a hook with no bait, the fish is going to keep running past it. If you have a hook and you don't have no structure to put the fish in, you're just going to lose every fish that you grab. And if you got the bait with no hook and no structure, you're just feeding fish. And that's great if you want to make them fat, but if you're not eating off of them, it doesn't do you any good. So I think I think people would need to understand that there's both. You need all three of those to get something going. So
I love that.
I agree 100%.
Miss Nakia has a question. Is there anyone who would like to? Nakia, can you come off? Come on. What type of collab do you want to do on TikTok? What are you looking to do?
So I know that getting on TikTok and just letting the world know who you are can be stressful. And just trying to figure out content and just anything. What I have learned is if you have someone to come on with you and you just have a conversation, you'll be on TikTok for hours. So I myself am a travel advisor, a sexuality, intimacy, and menopause coach. I'm also a bedroom candy consultant. So I kind of like do a little bit of those every time I jump on live, even when I'm on other people's lives, because they're typically someone who knows what it is that I do. And they'll be like, "You got something new?" And I'll be like, "No, I don't have anything new, but I do have something else I can show you." And it gives me an opportunity to sell or even just tell the people about the different items that we have at Bedroom Candy. Because, of course, when people hear Bedroom Candy, all they think is, "Oh, that's a sex toy company." But we are so much more than sex toys, but people don't know that. So I get the opportunity to show people that no, we also have a Mel's collection. We have a skincare collection made by a Black woman who is also a bedroom candy consultant. We have so much more. But again, the thing that really deters people from going live on any of these platforms is they don't know what to do. They don't know what to talk about. They don't have the confidence to just go on and talk. So, but if you have someone with you, you're more likely to go do it.
A lot of times, when you're looking to collaborate, it's finding somebody who has something complementary. Like, for example, right now with Javante, Pam, Tierra, all of them are in this story content, kind of like social media type of space where it's easy, like you said, to have a conversation because it's really relatable. So, first of all, I would ask you, who do you know that is doing something similar or talking about something that's complementary? Immediately, I thought about a young lady that was in our course that actually had exotic designs for exotic dancers. That's the first thing I was thought about. I was like, oh, that might be a great conversation as far as the across of demographics, as far as who you're looking to reach as well. Because so that conversation is like, okay, who's your
My
persona
target
that
audience.
you're
Who am I?
looking to reach out
Right.
to? I'm sorry.
I said my target audience. Who am I trying to pull in?
Yeah. But who is that persona? You should have a name or a picture of who they look like so that when you're talking about them or talking about those pain points that they have, that you have somebody else that's also trying to reach that same demographics. So now it's easy to have a conversation back and forth about, different solutions that you might be able to have.
if I if I
Yeah,
can, I would like
go ahead.
to speak on that too. If you are on TikTok, once you become part of a TikTok uh, area of TikTok, you'll know you're part of it. So once you start engaging with people who are also in the area, they're going to be way more inclined to collab with you on things. So just start engaging, responding to people's comments, stitching people's videos, talking about what they're talking about, and maybe agreeing or disagreeing. These things will build your fan base, because now you're going to be connecting to their fan base, and they're going to see, because those people are going to see your video because you're connected to their video, is going to get those people responding to you, because TikTok is all about engagement. And now you can say, hey, I see you responded to my post, send them a message, you want to get on live and do a collaborative live, and now that is building both your followings just like that. So just look at who you're already connected to, because you probably have a long list of people who are already going to be able to willing to collab with you and actually be beneficial to what you're already trying to do. So
Absolutely. Thanks for that. So we are about to close out. I do want to, let me share real quick. Let me see. Just want to share this real quick. Just a reminder on our 4-week story system to spotlight our business visibility funnel builder. So it's a 4-week hands-on program helping entrepreneurs turn their story into content, build a simple funnel, create visibility plan, and launch their marketing engine with, we're also going to be working with some youth as well. So week 1 is crafting your brand story, your hook, and your content pillars. Week 2 will be your funnel engine, building a simple marketing funnel and your landing page. Week 3 is visibility, creating content, film, videos, building a 30-day visibility plan. And then week 4, receive edited video and launch. So for those that want to enroll, it was $497. If you like, you can go ahead and scan here. It'll be $247. And again, we will have that last week. We're gonna have a pitch off. So we're gonna see whose story is gonna be doing what. So I'm really excited about that. So any questions from anybody before we go? No questions?
No questions. Just thank you for this.
Thank you. And is it Nanikia? I'm bad.
Nanika.
I'm bad with names.
It's okay. I'm 50. It's been like that all my life. It's Nanika.
Nanika. And are you here in Rocky Mount area?
I am in Rocky Mount.
Yay! Okay, well, I look forward to meeting you. So, hey guys, this Friday, just got to here at Station Square at 5:30, we have our meetup. So we'll be here, business meetup here, Station Square, Suite 136. Come on down, play with us, interact. And then December 17th, in-person workshop again here with Tierra as well, and the rest of the group here. December 17th, right here in Suite 136 as well. And like I said, we're going to extend our Black Friday special through then. So come on, y'all. Come on down. Any other questions? Say your story matters. Your visibility matters. Your business deserves to be seen. You deserve to be seen. Come on out and let's continue to grow our businesses together. I'm so thankful for all of you guys for showing up. Any last words from our panelists?
I'll just say one thing, don't let fear stop your story from being heard.
That's right.
And your story matters, so make it happen. Go tell it. Every story is like a ripple, so it has the capacity to ripple out further than where you actually started. So it doesn't matter how small it is or how big it is. It has the potential to make an impact. So go ahead and tell your story.
I love it. Thank you, guys. Thank you all so much. Y'all be blessed. Enjoy your evening.
All right, you guys have a good one.
Bye, guys.